Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. I'm going to restart this a couple seconds in, but we have JulyZerg in the upper right-hand corner as the blue Zerg, bottom right-hand corner. We have RootKiwikaki starting as the red protoss. There was a lot of calls for both of these guys, so I figured I might as well start with this set and let the two most popular players duke it out on the comments list and go for comments from there as far as who I'm going to follow all the way through the tournament. This is actually in pool play. JulyZerg, of course, an extremely strong Zerg player. I almost want to call him the anti-Idra, not in the, oh, he beats Idra all the time, but he's like Idra's evil twin, except he's not evil. I guess he's Idra's good twin. I don't know how to say that. I like Idra, actually. I shouldn't say things like that. I actually like Idra's style of play, and I feel bad for what... I won't comment any further than that. But anyway, he plays a very aggressive opening style more often than not, and rather than... where you'll see Idra try to squeak out as few units as possible in engagements and play defensively, you'll see JulyZerg actually build a lot of units ahead of time on some counter timings and try to actually have units left over, in my opinion. It seems like he tries to do that. So he just maintains map control, he has a counter-aggressive option, and he can get in his opponent's face. He's really strong with the information early game in Starcraft 2. One weakness in his play has been multitasking and protecting tech down the line, so it is possible RootKiwikaki might be able to exploit that. Thus far, we see an extractor pool opening for JulyZerg, which is very stereotypical. I am not surprised to see this at all. Probably going to go for early speed Zerglings, try to put Kiwikaki in the dark and play from there. Kiwikaki, of course, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with, is a very... I don't want to call him he's a creative player. Sometimes the creativity can hurt him, and the thing is, when you're going up against JulyZerg, I think Kiwikaki plays strongest against guys that know he's a creative guy and try to play standard against him anyway. And he can really exploit players that are kind of settling into that factor. When you have a player like JulyZerg who loves being aggressive and up in your face, I think it's a little bit more difficult for Kiwikaki to, one, hide the information that is so vital to his builds, and two, to basically maintain kind of that psychological control and kind of pattern his opponent's builds the way he really wants to. Looks like Az is online. We have an Overlord creeping up for JulyZerg. He did immediately move that. I think this was the first Overlord scouting bottom right. He's going to see that Cybernetics core, that gateway Zealot being produced first now that he's scouted out, which is almost necessary. When you see speed like this, you have to know Zerglings are going to be coming your direction very, very quickly. First 4 Zerglings out. There is a queen to follow, and we're also going to have that natural expansion being set up. And keep in mind, this is a rather wide ramp, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that Kiwikaki could build some troops and go for a kind of a counterattack or a mid-game push, but it looks like he's settling down into more of a standard sort of build. He has a simulators running. It looks like he has 3 probes in each. Is chrono boosting on his Nexus. Looks like he's missed a chrono boost or 2, but actually, never mind. He's probably saving it to get some tech up. Zealot engaging those Zerglings initially, and JulyZerg backing off, so very standard play thus far, which is very rare for Kiwikaki. I don't want to speak too soon, because we do have this probe in the upper left-hand corner, which could very, very easily hide tech from JulyZerg, and I don't know, we could see, this could be a big factor later in the match, knowing Kiwikaki. So, gateway up, looks like lots of sentries produced early for Kiwikaki. Wants to make sure he has lots of energy so he can get force fields in the mid game. Thus far is just playing a very solid macro game. It looks like he's actually not shifting off 2 gates. He actually has 2 sentries in queue, which leads me to believe that he's going to just save resources from this point out and try to take an expansion. JulyZerg expansion is almost finished. He has a queen moving out to that natural, and he does have pretty strong map control and map vision, at least at this stage of the game. He's got Overlords just checking the destructible rock corners. He has these Zerglings patrolling out in the front, and if you just check his vision, he basically controls Xel'Naga watchtowers basically about 3/4 of the map. I'm just going to bring it up. You can see where he just sees this entire wall and everything that's approaching, plus he has this Zergling meandering out across the front, so he's got really good informational control at this stage. Supply Depot being taken out for Kiwikaki, and right when I said he was going to build perhaps a Nexus instead, he's going additional gateways, so actually transitioning into a 4-gate a little bit later, but he is kind of posturing as though he's going for an expansion, which might throw JulyZerg off. So you can see he's moving out with a single Zealot, he's showing a handful of sentries. JulyZerg might be under the impression here, okay, well, it looks like he's going to go for an expansion build. Let me go ahead and pump drones. He's also getting an evolution chamber up as well as additional gas. Actually, I think he might have canceled that. No? Maybe not. Okay, 3 instruction. I'm kind of curious what happened to that, because I saw it on the production tab and then it canceled. Now we have several roaches being produced. This is kind of a crucial moment for JulyZerg. He's building several roaches He already has a handful of Zerglings out in the field. Does he go in with a lot of units to try to deny this natural expansion? Or does he just let Kiwikaki expand behind this? And it looks like actually it was just a 4-gate, and that's kind of unusual, 4-gate into expand build for Kiwikaki. He's got so many sentries out in the field. Tons of force field to work with. This tends to punish JulyZerg style. We actually saw him lose the finals of the GSL to this sort of style, where you have so many sentries that you can be aggressive or defensive with them. JulyZerg opting to instead open to lair. He's also tacking on some additional gas, so deciding to tech rather than take additional expansion. He's continuing to drone up and is getting some preventative roaches, and we see Hallucination researching for Kiwikaki. Now the question is that just for scouting purposes, or is that going to be for one of those classic Kiwikaki attacks? Extracts is just about finished. A handful of roaches are popping right now, and that is going to be a very strong roach force. But keep in mind, roaches versus sentries, particularly with stalkers behind them, can be very difficult to cope with. And JulyZerg, I just got to say, it's amazing how much poking he's doing with these Zerglings. He's seeing the entire composition of this army, getting so much scouting information out of these speed Zerglings just dancing around, and actually is going to be able to sneak into the main, get all sorts of scouting information, a sentry being warped in. Okay, he's moving through. Thus far, he's only seeing one gateway. What he really needs to do is come back to this corner to get a good look at that gateway count. Now sees everything. That is huge. JulyZerg should be able to respond almost exactly the way he wants to. Now actually getting a ton of roaches. I'm sorry, getting Burrow some additional roaches as well as glial reconstitution. I assume that Kiwikaki, now actually sending a Phoenix out in the air to provide some scouting information, is going to have a much more difficult time catching JulyZerg off guard. JulyZerg moving some additional Zerglings up, looking for Kiwikaki to maybe take an additional expansion. Kiwikaki grabbing some assimilators. He's also got his robotics facility in production, but level 1 missile attack being upgraded. And this is a large roach army. JulyZerg can basically move these roaches, get in Kiwikaki's face, dance around some force fields and whatnot while he takes the third. And it looks like he is in fact doing so now. Plus that burrow, plus the glial reconstitution. And actually, that was actually a great decision on JulyZerg as well. Seeing a very low robotics facility. Essentially what the burrow roaches are going to force is it's going to force Kiwikaki to stick to infantry, and with those roaches that do very, very well, and let's see if he actually transitions to hide ballistics as well. The roaches can do very, very well against those infantry units. That's going to force Kiwikaki to continue to produce observers, perhaps, or at least produce an observer, rather than going for something like an immortal or anything along those regard. In that regard, I should say. Another more scouting with JulyZerg, so persistent with that. Looks like he dropped off a changeling, which died magnificently. I'm going to say magnificently. Outside the natural expansion, some stalkers now up in the front. Going to plant that robotics bay, also getting an immortal out finally. But Roach is already moving up. The Phoenixes are in fact going to see this large Roach Zergling army. Now the question is where's the observer to help provide? Okay, the observer is out in the front. JulyZerg sees, I think he saw that and saw the situation. He's going to back off. Also sees that forge whirling on the front door with that cannon. Kiwikaki well prepared for this style of attack. But in the meantime, JulyZerg does have his third base up and running. Actually, things are just about dead even economically. And it looks like going to be macro on macro. I'm waiting for JulyZerg perhaps to make a move. He's definitely testing Kiwikaki's lines, and Kiwikaki chasing that army off his front door, a little bit nervous having it out there. That immortal can do a lot of damage to these roaches if it's protected. Moving back. In the meantime, though, JulyZerg getting a Baneling nest up. He's got a Spire running as well. It looks like he is going to transition into Muta Baneling. He's got a ton of roaches to support this underneath. Another hallucination for Kiwikaki to get some additional scouting information. And Kiwikaki tacking on some additional gateways. So definitely going, and it's a bit unusual, actually not seeing an additional robo at this stage. So it looks like he is in fact going basically larger infantry, but I feel like he's somewhat behind on his forge upgrades to really make that extremely effective. In the meantime, JulyZerg has a ton of Mutalisks in production. So Kiwikaki going to have to be pinned back between JulyZerg's aggression with all of these units on the ground. And on top of that, Mutalisks to follow. Very mobile. Nice split by Kiwikaki, trapping half that Roach army in. Looks like some of the Roaches are going to be able to evacuate, but still able to pick off a handful there, and still plenty of energy to work with. Now a Colossi moving on the field. Kiwikaki feeling like he wants to go up, taking additional expansion, picking off a little bit here and there. Probe moving up, but the Roach is still not too far behind. And it looks like, yeah, really going to be able to exploit the distance here now. JulyZerg moving in with these Mutalisks. Natural expansion does not have a cannon to protect, and I don't think these stalkers are blink upgraded. So they're going to have a very difficult time pushing up. Plus these Roaches have a nice encroachment point on that nexus. Kiwikaki with a very immobile army having to deal with troops absolutely everywhere. Warping from Kiwikaki to get some stalkers in defense is going to catch a grouping of these Mutalisks and doing significant damage to JulyZerg's Mutalisk attack force. But JulyZerg is happy to let this happen. He can continue to drone behind this, knowing that Kiwikaki is basically pinned back due to his lack of mobility. You can see the 10 drones being produced right now. It's a problem whenever Zerg is comfortable like this, can get very dangerous. But Kiwikaki's been pumping a lot of harvesters of his own. Mutalisks diving in, Kiwikaki not there to defend. The Roach is swinging around. It looks like they do want to take out this base. Kiwikaki canceling that Nexus, putting himself into the red, and he's going to go in for a 2-base attack to dive into JulyZerg. He does not want to sit down any longer. Cannon, wow, and it's going to be a complete base trade situation. Who does more damage more rapidly? Kiwikaki being forced back, and this is again the power of that mobile attack force. Kiwikaki not feeling like he can defend these extraneous bases against JulyZerg, and as a result just being pinned back, letting JulyZerg take an additional economy. Kiwikaki warping in some more units. He might want to lay down a bunch of cannons if he's thinking about another attack, but the swarm has already started for JulyZerg. A ton of Zerglings, a ton of Banelings, a good handful of Mutalisks as well, moving out towards the front. Kiwikaki once again out of position. Army engaging at the natural, but you can, oh my goodness, Banelings on the front. Beautiful force fields from Kiwikaki, denying the Banelings. They're going to get taken out. Zerglings from behind, looking for more force fields there to provide some additional defense, and Mutalisks pounding away in the air. There's Guardian Shield a bit late, and it looks like Kiwikaki's army is just pinned in, and again, without that high forge weapon upgrade rate, that big infantry army is not going to stand very well against JulyZerg's equally upgraded army. The Roach is able to pick off the Colossus. Beautiful engagement, and I think that is going to be all she wrote for Kiwikaki. More Stalkers warping in, but JulyZerg still with a big standing economy. He's still at 3 bases. He can reproduce much more rapidly than Kiwikaki can. And on top of that, Kiwikaki still not very mobile. And dealing with this attack force, looks like a handful of troops going to push them off that extractor. You can see Kiwikaki actually, I think his main, yeah, just about mined out. His natural expansion looking is still fully saturated, but he's doing this while trying to expand here at the 3 o'clock. But JulyZerg not going to give an opportunity to breathe. Banelings and Zerglings pushing in with Roaches. And oh, looks like the Stalker's going to eat a lot of that explosion. Probes coming off the line, but Probes versus Banelings, oh, and forget about it, Cannons. You're not getting anything done either. More Stalkers warping in. Kiwikaki, in the fight of his life, has already got basically his only functional base at this stage denied. JulyZerg sitting pretty. Harvester count 60 to 58. So Kiwikaki didn't lose a lot of probes in that attack at the very least, but it doesn't matter if he doesn't have a place to mine, and if he doesn't have troops on his front door. Roaches continuing to press in, want to pick off that Colossi. Not quite able to. They are eating some damage here as they're stepping forward, but getting ever closer to that Colossi. They've breached Kiwikaki's main. It looks like they're also going to be able to empty that natural expansion of a lot of troops, and JulyZerg smells blood in the water, takes the Colossi out. Probes trying to come off the line. It almost feels like Kiwikaki's moving in slow motion while JulyZerg is moving at regular speed here. Oh, and Roach is just annihilating that line, now burrowing. There is an observer there, but Zerglings diving in as well. And I think that is it. Oh my goodness. Zerglings, Roaches, everything. Completely crushing this natural. Roach is now unburrowing. There's a GG from Kiwikaki. Really strong play from JulyZerg. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, gonna follow, well, I guess vote on it still. But I'm planning at least at this stage to follow JulyZerg straight through. And I'll try, if any of you guys actually know where I can find the order of the games, you can let me know, and that would be fantastic. But coming up next will be JulyZerg versus Kiwikaki Game 2. Thanks for listening.